Today I'm going to talk about 7 reasons why you would want an INFJ to have as a friend, and a few reasons why you may not. So I'm going to start off by saying these things may not, of course, apply to all INFJs or all friendships that you have had with these people with these types of personalities, but these would just be, my experiences as an INFJ and the feedback that I've gotten from my friends and my loved ones. So let's start with number 1. We will love you with our whole heart. INFJs really crave and desire to have deep, meaningful relationships that are more than just surface. So when we enter into a friendship or relationship with you, we will absolutely love you with our whole being. We put our whole selves into a relationship. We're not shallow people, and you will get all of us. Number 2, we are great listeners. Now, I've talked about before that, as an INFJ, I really struggle with small talk and shallow conversation. But one thing that I really excel at, I've been told, is that I'm a great listener. If you want to talk about something that is troubling you, or a problem you're having, or something like intellectual that we really need to think about, we're great listeners. We can actually listen to what you're saying and process it. We may not have a response immediately. Sometimes we need to process things and think about it for a little while, and then we can get back to you. Sometimes that happens for me. If someone comes to me with an issue or a problem that I have to process for a little bit, it might take me a little while to come back with something intelligent, because sometimes, inside my brain, there's just so many things going on, and like I've mentioned before, I forget to get those things out of my brain. So I forget what I've actually told you and what I've just thought about telling you. I'm sitting up here in my kids' play area. It's kind of funny. They don't really use it anymore, they're too big. But anyway, let's get on to number 3. We will tell you the truth. If you ask our opinion on something, or if you ask for advice about something, or you want us to speak into a situation, INFJs will tell you the truth. Because we have, this introverted intuition, so we have insight into things that sometimes are hard for us to explain, because maybe we don't even understand how it works. We don't even understand the things that are going through our heads as to how to explain it to you. But if you ask for our opinion or for our take on a situation, we will tell you the truth. And sometimes it's not truth that you necessarily want to hear. We don't necessarily want to say it all the time, but we will tell you the truth. Number 4, we will pray for you. I will pray for you. Not every INFJ is religious or spiritual, but many INFJs tend to have pretty deep-seated religious convictions, and whatever faith they follow, they generally will follow it pretty closely and really, hold it dear to their heart. And for me, I really enjoy praying for people, and mostly what they call intercessory prayer, which is prayer for a person when they are not present. And I have been several times in my life, lots of times actually, awoken in the middle of the night, with what seems like a dream, but it will be about a person that I know. And I know now, I didn't when I was younger, but I know now that what I need to do is pray for that person. And so I will then, I don't even always know what I need to pray about, but I will then, just bring that person before the Lord and just pray. And it's really interesting because that type of prayer ends up being, very few words and more just feelings and emotions. And it ends up being very passionate. So I think that's something that, God's definitely gifted me with. But I think, most INFJs, they will be very passionately concerned over your welfare. Number 5, we are not needy, friends. And what I mean by that is we can go a very long time, days, weeks, months, sometimes even years with a few of my close friends where we have no contact or very little contact. But then when we get back to being able to hang out with you or talk to you, it's as if no time has passed. And, as a pretty strong introvert, I spend a lot of time in my head, and I don't necessarily need a lot of social interaction to energize me. I kind of have the opposite, where I need to be alone to be energized. So I can go for long periods of time without hanging out with my friends, and it doesn't hurt my feelings. So know that if you have an INFJ as a friend, you may not see them for a while, and then when you see them again, it's going to be like no time has. Number 6, deep-seated values and loyalty. We have, as a part of us, just a very deep-seated values that a lot of times don't have any negotiation. Once we decide that something is something we value or that we require in our lives, we will stick with it. And we're very loyal to the people that we love and the people that love us. And our values a lot of times are very important, and they will dictate a lot of the things that we do and things that we choose to do in our lives. And number 7, insight on a situation. Part of our subconscious action, and we don't necessarily even know how to communicate it, is that we a lot of times will have insight on a situation that other people won't have. And sometimes you have to draw it out of us unless we really, really trust you and know that you will be kind to our insight. Because there's been a few times that I've had to tell someone, well, not had to, but really it was laid on my heart to tell someone something, and it was something that would have been kind of painful. Not necessarily in the way that I would have said it. It was something that was definitely going to help the person with their life, but it would have been something that could come off and hurt the person a little bit. And I know they say, like, great are the wounds of a friend. And that, darn it, I should have looked up that verse, so it just came to my head. So I should have looked up that verse to give you some context about it. But what that is saying basically is, if a friend has some insight for you, it might be painful. They might be able to look into your relationship or your situation and have some truth for you that you don't really want to hear, but it is the truth. And a lot of times, if you can get through sometimes the, like introverted rambling that we sometimes do, that, it doesn't seem to make any sense. But if you can get through that and listen for the insight that we might have into your situation, there really is a lot of times some really great wisdom there. And then last, I want to talk to you about the 3 reasons why you might not want to be friends with an INFJ. And number 1, and this one is definitely true for me, is that we have a tendency towards depression and isolation. The world can be really overwhelming for us, for me. A lot of people, a lot of emotions. When I go out into public or I go and I'm with other people, I have a tendency to absorb their emotions, and that can be really exhausting. And there's a lot of sad people in the world. There's a lot of people that have just despair all over them and just this really deep sadness. And if I'm absorbing that all day long, I tend to then start isolating myself to avoid feeling those things. I'm getting better at it by realizing what emotions are not mine. And what is actually what I'm feeling and what someone else is feeling. And there isn't always anything that you can do for someone else when they're feeling that way. So we do have a tendency towards isolation. And sometimes you have to draw us out, you know, you have to like, hey, how are you doing? I'd like to see you, you know, just really try to connect with us when you notice that we're starting to get, you know, really drawn in and a little on the sad side for longer than a day. Next, we will ask for advice and not take it. A lot of times we have thought over a situation and a problem that we're having on our own for many hours. Even, you know, I'll be thinking about something, I swear, in my sleep, because I wake up in the morning and there it is in my head. And so I have already decided for the most part what to do in a situation, and then we will ask our friends and our husbands or our wives, and we will ask them for advice in the situation. But for the most part, I already know what I'm going to do. I just want to know what your reaction is going to be when I do what I've already decided. So I'll ask for advice and then not take it. And then the final thing is, I've heard this called an INFJ door slam, or I can't think of the other term that they use. And I wouldn't refer to it as a door slam because we generally don't do things that are abrupt or violent or without careful consideration. But if our boundaries are violated too many times and our values are compromised, we will quietly walk away from the relationship. And I have had to do this a few times in my life. It is very painful. And usually what ends up happening is the person that, you know, I was friends with, or a family member that I really had a good connection with for a while, starts just, you know, violating my values and, you know, crossing over my boundaries. And I have difficulty telling them, you know, this is why and this is what happened. So then what I do is I just start quietly walking away. And, you know, once you have, you know, a person with this personality type walk away from you, it's really difficult to get them back, because we really sit, you know, I really sit and remember all the negative things that happened, all the feelings that I had from that part of the relationship. So it's difficult, unfortunately, to bring it back. And that's a really difficult part, that you will just quietly walk away, you'll barely even notice, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, what happened? I haven't seen her in so long. And the last thing I wanted to tell you about INFJs, and many of you, if you're watching an INFJ video, you probably know this already, but we are the rarest personality type in the world. We are, you know, about 2% of the world's population, which I think is so cool. And like, we're just, you know, a bunch of weirdos. There's only so many of us. And when I found this out, I went and told my husband, who I've been with for 20 years, what a rare treasure his wife was, and that he should value me like I am just this precious jewel, because I have the rarest personality type in the world. And, you know, we INFJs are we're just so valuable. But I really do think we are valuable. I think, you know, as INFJs, we do have a lot to tell the world. If we can figure out how to get it out of our heads. And that's what these kind of videos for me have been about. And I hope you find them interesting. Please let me know if you do. And I just keep researching myself and researching, you know, different things. And I really liked making this video. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.